Hello guys, how are you doing? Welcome back to yet another video, folks. Today we are doing a Players Championship 6 roundup and also Beau Greaves 9 data and also Premier League Night 4 in Belfast, Northern Ireland. So before you get into the YouTube channels, please hit the subscribe button. I got 85 subscribers. We're nearly into 100 and we've got nearly 90 subscribers there, but let's smash the channel and support the video. So, Gerwyn Price powers to Players Championship 6 glory in Leicester. Gerwyn Price powered his way to a first PDC ranking title of 2026 with a comprehensive 8-1 victory over Andrew Gilding in Wednesday's Players Championship 6. Price runner-up to Wessel Nyman in the Players Championship 2 earlier this month, went one better in Leicester, producing a tournament average of 102.82. The former world champion conceded just 14 legs across his 7 matches, and the Mattioli Arena overhauling Nyman to move top of the 2026 Players Championship rankings following event 6. Price stormed into round 3 with successive 6-1 demolitions of Christo Reyes and Mike Ivanhoven, which followed up with another emphatic win at the expense of Lucas Venick. The 40-year-old continues his procession with another outstanding display against Scott Waits, averaging 109.48 to run out a 6-1 winner in the battle of the former Grand Slam champions. The relentless standard continues his quarter-final clash against Kevin Dutz, with Price averaging 108.59 to set up a showdown against his World Cup partner, Jonny Clayton. Clayton snaps his 10-match losing streak against Price in last week's Premier League, but he was unable to repeat the feat as Price averaged 104.47 to sell 7-4 success. The Welshman then raced into an early 3-0 lead against Gilding in Wednesday's showpiece, backing up a clinical 104 checkout on tops with a consecutive 15 darters. The former UK Open champion Gilding opened his account with an 84 finish on the ball in leg 4, only for Price to win the remaining 5 legs, including a spectacular 153 finish in the penultimate leg to pocket the 15,000 top prize. Gilding featured in his first Players Championship final since April 2022, began in Wednesday's play with a series of antirational victories over Scott Williams, Leon Webber and Martin Dratz. The 55-year-old then fired a ton-plus average in overcoming Kim Huybrechts before converting a nervousness 105 combination to edge past Tuesday's champion Ross Smith in the quarterfinals. Gilding later came out on top in another last leg decider in the semi-finals, accounting for the French trailblazer Thibaut Chicol to claim £10,000 in prize money. Chicol also enjoyed an impressive run to his second PDC ranking semi-final, defying a 9-darter from Max Hopp to triumph in a high-quality affair earlier in the day. In the last 8, Chicol then closed out victory over Scotland's David Sharp, who defeated Peter Wright, Beau Greaves and Alan Suter in advancing to his maiden Players Championship quarter-final. Greaves also generates major headlines on action-packed afternoon in the East Midlands, becoming the first woman to produce a 9-darter on the PDC ProTour circuit. After narrowly defeating Chris Landman in round 1, Greaves achieved a perfection in her second round clash against Menzies Sulovic before surviving match darts to sink the Austrian in a dramatic finale. Premier League table topper Clayton was Wednesday's other semi-finalists, registered a brace of whitewashed wins along the way. This was presented by a 6-5 victory over James Horrell in round 1, aided by 11 darting decider, while he's also averaged 102 in the quarterfinals against Christian Kist. Kist was appearing in his second quarterfinal as many days, completing the last 8 lineup alongside Smith, Sharp and his Dutch compatriot Dutz. The 2026 PDC ProTour season will Remude with the European Darts Trophy in Gottingham from March the 13th to the 15th before the next instalment of Players Championship action. Will see events 7 and 8 take place at the Mattioli Arena on March the 30th, 31st. That's when I'm not going to be cheeky anymore. Come on! Right, let's talk about Beau Greaves. Greaves produced historic 9-darter on PDC ProTour. Beau Greaves creates another slice of history in Leicester on Wednesday, becoming the first woman to hit a 9-darter on the PDC ProTour circuit. Greaves produced perfection during her round 2 clash against Austrian stalwart Mensa Sulovic, following up back-to-back 180s with a magical 1-4-1 finish in leg 3 of the contest. 22-year-old joins her great rival Fallon Sherrock in landing a 9-darter in the PDC competition after Sherrock produced a perfect leg during a Winmore Challenge Tour event in March 2023. Greaves has made an impressive start to her PDC career as a PDC Tour card holder, reaching the last 16 in 2 of the year's first 6 Players Championship events. The Doncaster Darter also extended an unprecedented winning run on the PDC Women's Series to 113 matches earlier this month before registering averages of 117.88 and 111.33 on the Winmore Development Tour last weekend. She is currently inside the top 30 of the Pro Tour ranking, Players Championship rankings. Right. Let's move on to night 4 in Belfast, Northern Ireland. Kicking off with, fresh from his Poland Darts Open success, Luke Littler needs to improve his Premier League form against a confident Jonny Clayton in Belfast, Northern Ireland. Luke Littler is yet to get going in this year's Premier League, with the world champion losing in the semi-final last week to Jonny Clayton after receiving a bye in the quarterfinals due to Michael van Gerwen's withdrawal. However, the 19-year-old stormed to the inaugural Poland Darts Open title in Krakow over the weekend, defeating the fellow Premier League participants Josh Rock and Gian van Veen along the way. It would not be a surprise to see translate that form to the Belfast stage on Thursday. He'll have a game on his hand though. His opponent, Jonny Clayton, is on excellent form right now and playing with plenty of confidence. The Welshman took a nightly win in Glasgow last week and tops the Premier League table ahead of Thursday's quarterfinals. Although he only won 1 game in the Poland Darts Open and subsequently lost in the first round of Players Championship 5 on Tuesday, the ferret went all the way to the semi-finals in Leicester, earlier today, where he lost to compatriot Gerwyn Price in a high-quality contest. We fancy Littler here, but Clayton will not lie down easily. There is plenty of fight in him at the moment, but I can see this going the distance or close to it. But I think Littler will get his revenge and win 6-3. Second up, Stephen Bunting's quest for a first win of the 2026 Premier League continues as he faces Luke Humphries at the quarter-final stage in Belfast. The pressure is mounting on Stephen Bunting, who enters the 4th week of the Premier League action without a win to his name in this year's competition, despite boasting the 3rd highest tournament average among the 8 competitors. The Bullet won 2 matches in the inaugural Poland Darts Open over the weekend, but lost 6-1 in the quarterfinals to Luke Humphries in his opening opponent in Belfast. Humphries went on to lose 7-5 to a fellow Premier League participant Gian van Veen in the last 4 of the event, the same opponent he lost in last week's Premier League semi-final in Glasgow. Into night 4, the world number 2 sits in 5th position, although he does boast the highest tournament average at present. Both players choosing to skip the midweek Players Championship events in Leicester should be reflecting relatively fresh from coming into this contest, but Humphries has won the last 4 meetings between the two. There isn't much value to be back in call hand here, but there are decent returns on offer selecting him to land more than 180s ahead of this contest. He has hit 22 in the 2026 Premier League compared to just 4 from Bunting. Luke Humphries to win and hit the more 180s. I'm going for Humphries to win 6-3. And then, after a recent illness, Michael van Gerwen hopes to return to action in Belfast, where he's scheduled to take on Wednesday's Players' Championship winner Gerwyn Price. Michael van Gerwen made an excellent start to the 2026 Premier League, winning the first night in Newcastle before also reaching the final in Antwerp a week later. However, unspecific illness forced the Dutchman to miss last week's event in Glasgow. He was subsequently absent from the Poland Darts Open and the Players' Championship doubleheader in Leicester. All signs point towards MVG returning to action in Belfast, but it remains to be seen how much of a hindrance his recent bounce of illness will to his performance levels. Medical reasons also caused Gerwyn Price to pull out of the action in Poland over the weekend, but the Welshman entered both events in Leicester this week and claiming the glory at Players' Championship 6 just a few hours ago before this contest, his first PDC ranking title of 2026. The Iceman who claimed the nightly victory in Antwerp, on the second week on the Premier League action, but seems the safer player to back here, and given uncertainty around Van Gerwen's fitness, I'm going for Price to win 6-4. And then lastly, Gian van Veen and Josh Rock meet in Belfast, both having made contrasting starts to their debut Premier League campaigns. Do debutants go in battle? It's been an impressive start to Gian van Veen's debut Premier League campaign, although the World Championship runner-up is yet to go all the way, but he has reached the final in 2 of the 3 nights so far, including last week in Glasgow, where he lost to Jonny Clayton in the final. The Dutchman followed that up by finishing runner-up in an inaugural Poland Darts Open over the weekend, but eventually losing to Luke Littler in the final despite hitting the 9-darter. Josh Rock, who also lost to Littler in reaching the quarterfinals of that event, is still searching for his first Premier League point after 3 weeks of action. He'll hope that playing in front of his home crowd this time around him give him the boost he needs. We have often seen Premier League players falter under that added pressure for the experienced audience. Northern Ireland entered Tuesday's Players' Championship event in Leicester, losing out in the first round, but choose to skip Wednesday's tournament. Van Veen participated in neither. Of the 2 Premier League debutants, Van Veen has settled much quicker. Looks the favourite in this one, despite the fact his opponent will receive the lion's share of support in Belfast. But I'm going for Rocky to win 6-5 to get his first win of the Premier League and to get behind his home crowd. So that's my predictions for week 4 of the Premier League in Belfast. Leave on in the comments below and we'll see you in the next one. Bye. Peace out. Good night, everyone.